Whizzkid buys almost one property a month during COVID-19. Wow. Impressive. Wow. 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 That's all I can say. Wow. A 28-year-old Whizzkid bought almost one property a month while Australia was in the grip of COVID-19. One of the many investors scooping up high rental yield homes at a discount. Welcome to the Mango Monkey Show, where we talk about personal finance, investing, and building wealth. For Eddie DeLean, 28, who has 25 properties in his portfolio, it's a no-brainer to buy now, especially with interest rates so low. I've bought 7 properties in total since COVID started, 6 properties in Brisbane and 1 in Sydney. Oh, wow. The 6 properties I bought in Queensland were to continue building my property portfolio growth, mixing from houses, duplexes, townhouses, and commercial property also. Oh gosh, this guy, wow, cannot believe it. Wow. He's younger than me and he's got so many properties. Oh my god. The other property in Sydney was changing PPOR, place of residence. That's basically a house that someone lives in and was purchased for $1.3 million. Wow. So since COVID-19 started, I've added almost 2.5 million to my property portfolio, bringing the total value close to $8 million in property I own. Oh wow, so this guy has 25 properties. The total value is $8 million. And the most expensive property is $1.3 million. That means the average value of the property is, let's use my calculator, 8 million minus 1.3 divided by 24 properties. So the remaining properties have the average value of around 280,000. So it looks like he buys in a regional location where the rental yield is a lot higher and the price of the property is a lot lower compared to if you buy in the center of the city. Oh, there you go. Eddie DeLean bought 2 Ipswich duplexes in April, costing him 410,000. 130,000 discount. Wow, okay. That's 20% or even 25% discount. Wow. Rented at $580 per week. The gross yield sits at 7.3%. Wow. Wow. That's all I can say, guys. Wow. Look at this one here. In May, he bought it for $133,000. I didn't know you can buy a property for $133,000. Oh, I can just pay it with cash tomorrow. Wow. Rented out at $280 per week. The property gets him a 10.9% rental yield. Very good, very good. When it came to how his portfolio would be hit because of COVID-19, Mr. DeLean said he was not concerned at all. I have invested with a strategic formula to minimize risk. Okay, well, I wonder what this strategic formula is. I want to know. He said my property portfolio is extremely cash flow positive. There you go, cash flow positive. Which means the total income far outweighs the expenses and holding costs. Very smart. Mr. DeLean said he got almost 500 grand rental income each year, while his mortgage expenses is around 200,000 a year, leaving 300,000 in the kitty. Oh, wow, he doesn't even need to work. Wow, I want to be like him already. I haven't even read the rest of the article. I haven't thought about negotiating better terms with the banks due to COVID-19. I haven't had any issues with tenants. Well, that's because the job keeper and job seeker are still ongoing, guys. The man who bought his property at 18. Oh wow, he bought his first property at 18. Wow. after saving 2 years worth of earnings, working at McDonald's, said his goal was to never sell any property he bought. What's with these McDonald's people, guys? Earlier this week, I made a video about Maddie Pickering, who works for McDonald's and bought her first house at the age of 19. This guy Eddie bought his first property at 18. Oh, they must be doing something right over there at McDonald's. I really think I should have worked for McDonald's. What a pity. I worked for Dick Smith. I didn't work for McDonald's. Oh. Wow, okay. I hate the idea of selling property. Most people regret selling properties after 10 to 15 years because usually they are worth a lot more. So he's got a three-pronged wish list for properties. One is good cash flow or high yields, which is basically the same. You can have good cash flow either by having a very small mortgage, very small interest rate, or by having very high rental yield. Now, 2 is capital growth. You want the property to increase in value over time. And 3 is buying properties at a discount below market value to create instant equity of 15 to 20% plus. These are all sensible wish list, guys, sensible criteria. Everyone should aim for this kind of property. Although not every time you can get it, because let's face it, usually if the property meets all of these 3 criteria, there will be a lot of people wanting to buy that. So you will end up overpaying. So this guy must be doing it full time so that he has a lot of time to shop around different properties and pick the really good one. Or maybe because he buys in a regional location, maybe that's why there is less competition. I think I need to explore that further. What drives him is being able to buy a property under market or bank valuation. Of course, who doesn't want that, guys? I did try, but it got too hard for me, so I gave up. If someone needs to sell and their main priority is getting a quick sell, they will usually compromise on price, therefore sell lower. It's just about having the right contacts and putting in the research and work. Okay, well, now is the perfect time for you to shop around for a good deal. Some people need to sell the property now. I mean, there's still job keeper and job seeker, but it's about to end soon, and next month it will be lower than what it currently is. So some smart people are getting ready to sell. They are wanting to sell before October and definitely before April next year, when apparently both job seekers and job keeper will be turned off. Job seeker will go back to the usual rate. So Mr. Dillon said the prices he got were usually unheard of in the wider market because most people just limited themselves to places where they live. Okay, so he bought in Brisbane, as close to the CBD as 5 kilometers, but also as far as 40 kilometers. Okay, so regional location, but actually maybe not even regional, it's close to the city still. I couldn't believe it. $100,000 for a place only 40 kilometers from the Brisbane CBD. That's wow, I need to move to Brisbane. Wow. Same with Sydney. Oh, okay. I bought as close as 12 kilometers to the city CBD in Sydney and also as far as 35 kilometers. Okay, so he said property investing is about numbers and making money to create a life of financial freedom. Yeah, I agree. That's what we want. To me, the only thing that matters is the profit, not the color of the carpet, or if the paint is not perfect, it's not the nicest, it's okay. It's about trying to take the emotion out of property investing. So these are all sensible advices, guys. He's actually pretty smart. When I saw this article the first time around, I thought, what is this guy doing? 28 properties at, sorry, actually not 28, 25 properties at the age of 28. I thought, oh, is this one of those crazy dudes who just buy every property that comes his way? and over leverage. But I think the properties he buys are actually quite decent. He is quite sensible. And the reason is he only buys the cheap properties. So if you look at these properties here, the list of the recent acquisitions since COVID, most of them are around 100 or $200,000. See, 135,000 for a townhouse in Logan, 133 grand for a villa in Ipswich, 200 grand commercial property in Logan, and 200 grand 2-bedroom unit in the Service Paradise. And all of them have high rental income. So two features: one is the price is very low, two is the rental income is very high. So let's explore this one further, guys. So the rental income that he gets is only around 270 a week. See, 270. This is 580. That's a bit of an outlier, but this next one is 280. And this would have been around the same, or maybe about double, because the price is about double of that one. But it's a commercial property, so it's different. We ignore this one. The next one, the rental income is only 350. So the tenants only need to pay $350 rent every week. So his clientele, his tenants, are the people who are low income earners. So they can even pay the rent without working. So let me show you this Centrelink website, Job Seeker. So Job Seeker is the alternative to Job Keeper. So Job Seeker is something that's been around long time ago. It used to be called the New Start allowance. This is where you get an allowance in return for trying to get a job. So you need to fulfill certain obligations. You need to keep trying to find a job, go for interviews, and Centrelink often suggests some interviews for you to go to, and you will need to go to those interviews. You don't have to accept the job, but you have to go to the interviews at least. And if you don't like it, if it doesn't suit you, you do not have to accept the job. Alright, so JobKeeper has been boosted up temporarily during coronavirus because of the coronavirus supplement. But even after that and before that, it was always there. How much do you get for job seeker? So if you're single with no children, you get $565 per fortnight. So this is per fortnight. So this is roughly around $250 per week. Plus the coronavirus supplement, if any. But we ignore this one for the time being. If you have a partner, you get $510 per fortnight. And this is, by the way, per person. So if your partner also does not work, each of you will get this amount every fortnight. So really, each of you get around $250 per week. So if you double that up, then you as a couple will get around $500 per week. So that means if the rent that you need to pay for is less than $500 per week, then you may not even need to work. So if you live at home, you never go out, you just cook at home and stay at home all day, then I think you can most likely live on $500 per week budget, right? So you have to be really, really frugal, but I think it's possible. So his secret, this Whizzkid secret, is to invest in properties where the tenants don't even need to work for them to be able to pay the rental commitment. So it seems like a very safe strategy, guys. It seems to be almost guaranteed, because as long as the tenants don't have a debt, they don't have personal loan or credit card, then they are surely able to pay the rent to the landlord. He is very smart. Eddie DeLean, that's his name. Wow. I'm so impressed. Oh. This is getting increasingly good. Wow. He gave a tip here. So his top tip was research or get help from someone who can get results and has done it themselves. Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely I don't think I will be able to find a $150,000 property. So definitely I will use someone to help me. Build the right team of people who can help you, such as a mortgage broker, property manager, buyer's agent. What's a buyer's agent, guys? Buyer's agent is basically a real estate agent, but they work for you, the buyer. So they don't work for the seller, they work for the buyer. What they do is they sign an agreement with you outlining how much they get paid. I would say the average fee is maybe around $10,000. Sometimes they charge more, sometimes they charge less, depending on what kind of deal they get for you. So yeah, use a buyer's agent to get a magical property and be the next Whizzkid. Wow, this guy is good. Property investing can be extremely complex, as everyone has their own opinion and thinks they are an expert. I couldn't agree more. I would recommend people to not listen to naysayers. If I can do it, anyone can. Good on you. I grew up in an extremely poor family and no one owned a property at all. Now I own 24 plus. Wow. I'm so impressed. Wow. This guy is so good. He's different from the other guys that I have heard before, guys. So this guy, well, I don't know how much home loan he has, but I just know that his strategy is quite unique. So he only buys the really, really cheap property where even if the tenants don't have a job, they can still pay the rent with no issues. That's impressive. Never heard of this method before. Wow. Let's try to work out his mortgage balance. So he said his home loan repayment somewhere here, I don't know where it was, but somewhere before we saw that his home loan repayment was 200 grand a year. So if we go backwards 200 grand a year, let's say the home loan interest rate is very cheap. I think he will probably pay more because he has such a big home loan. Probably needs to go to some banks who charge a little bit more. Let's make it 3%, so $200,000 per year in interest, divided by 3%. So the home loan balance is around 6.7 million. If that's the case, then he only borrows 80%, a little bit more than 80% perhaps. You don't know until you ask him. So in my channel, I talked to you about how much debt I think is reasonable. So I said that if you buy a property, you want to make sure that your debt is not bigger than double your net wealth. So let's say if your net wealth is $500,000, your debt can be up to $1 million. If your net wealth is 1 million, your debt can be up to $2 million. Now, what is a net wealth, or also called net worth? That is the value of your assets minus the value of your liabilities, your loans, your debts. That equals your net wealth. So with this guy, the net wealth, assuming he's borrowing at 80%, will be approximately 1.6 million, assuming he's got no other investments like the share market. So if I use that rule, his loan can be up to 2 times 1.6, so that's 3.2. So clearly he's borrowing more than what I said in my video, but I think this guy is impressive. I'm just really impressed by him. So I think his method is better than mine. Yeah, I think his method is better than mine. But you need to just make sure that you look at a few things here. You have to follow his strategy to the letter. Okay, so it has to be a very, very cheap property with a very, very cheap rent. So the rent must be able to be paid by Centrelink payments. So if the rent is 500 per week, it doesn't work because you most likely cannot pay 500 a week rent if you are only on Centrelink. You have to make it below 300 a week, even better if it is 200 a week. And the rental yield has to be high. So this should mean that you have no out-of-pocket outgoings. So this should mean that on a week-to-week basis, your rental income is enough to cover the mortgage repayment and the other outgoings. So don't forget, you have to do a bit of a research. I don't know how much these are, but You need to look at things like your council rates, council bill, your water bill. If it is an apartment, at least in New South Wales, I don't know about Queensland, but in New South Wales, if it is an apartment, the landlord pays for the water bill. And you have to look at also the strata bill if it is an apartment. If it is a house, you look at your land tax. You pay land tax to the government. If it is an apartment, you may also need to pay land tax when you have 25 properties like him, because the apartment has a land component, except it is normally very small. So if you only have 1 or 2 apartments, it normally doesn't attract any land tax. These expenses may be quite different between Sydney, Brisbane, and Ipswich. I think in regional locations, these costs may be a bit bigger compared to in the city. I think, I'm not too sure. But yeah, he sounds like a genius to me. Well, just one thing to remember: if you invest in shares, don't borrow any money. It's very risky. If you invest in property, it's okay to borrow. Yeah. So good luck. What do you think, guys? Would you follow him? Would you follow this Whizzkid? Write your comments down below and let me know what you think. And yeah, maybe you can be the next Whizzkid. Good luck. Good luck, guys. See you next time.